in our series of debates for I Believe Birmingham. To give you a little background, been planning these debates out for a number of months, and the primary purpose of this was to get candidates out in front of the citizenry and let them give you their platform, allow them to take some questions. We've gotten questions that we, the moderators, have come up with. We've also solicited questions from residents online. So we'll be mixed up in there, and I think we're also going to take a couple of questions from the audience this evening. My name is Joseph Baker. I'm the founder of I Believe Birmingham. And if you're not familiar, it's a local activism group. We've been active for about 7 years now, and felt like this was the next good step to take forward in building a better Birmingham, is helping folks to get informed in this process of the election. Our moderators tonight are Valerie Proctor Davis and Ron Crenshaw. I'll let them introduce themselves in a moment. Just a couple of housekeeping things. They'll go over some basic rules, but the main purpose tonight is for the candidates to speak to you. We've asked them not to attack each other or go after each other unnecessarily. The main thing is for them to express what their platforms are and to give you a better sense of who they are and why they would like to be your next counselor. One of the other things we've done is we've created a website where we've placed a lot of the information, and we'll be putting videos from the debates, and also we're going to be sending questions to candidates to answer both in written form or we've also invited them to make videos that they can post. That website is bhamdebates.org. That's bhamdebates with an S.org. It'll have a list of all the candidates, their websites and contact info, and any other relevant information that we get from them that we can post onto their pages. Let's see. Sorry, I'm running through all the things in my head here. So we're going to go with our Board of Education candidate first. We've only got Terry Michael here this evening. Our other candidate has not appeared yet, so we're just going to run through some questions with her first to let her interact with you, and then we'll move to our council portion of the debate after that. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn that over to Valerie and Ron, and they can introduce themselves.
Hi there, I'm Valerie Proctor Davis. I'm Secretary of Southeast Lake Neighborhood Association.
And I'm Ron Crenshaw. I'm the Vice President of Southeast Lake Neighborhood Association. And we want to thank you guys for coming out.
So we've got one of our school board candidates here. We've got two people running this time, Mrs. Michael and Brandon McCray, and I don't think he's made it. So we're just going to be talking to Terry here. And we'll take turns asking her questions, and we'll ask you to stick to about 2 minutes per question. Let's go on. Why are you running, and what do you hope to accomplish?
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. Why I'm running? I'm running because 5 years ago, a child in Butler High School in Huntsville, Alabama was attacked in the bathroom. Her mom could not get any help for her, and I was confused as to why she could not get help. I began studying what was going on in the school. That led me to policy, and that led me to an understanding that education is changing. There's a lot that's different now than when I put my children through public education. And so I began an organization called Support Our Students to get information out to parents, to let them know what was happening in the schools. And that led to a lot of work down in the legislature, and I ran into the president of Birmingham FT. And so he hired me, and here I am. I've been at a board meeting for the last 3 years. Blessed and happy to live here in Birmingham. What I want to do is I want to bring more community involvement. I think that there's members in the community that want to get involved but don't know how. So I want to bring that energy, I want to bring that information to them, I want to have regular meetings, I want to let people know how easy it is to volunteer and how easy it is to create change in just a little bit of time every week.
Okay. Can y'all hear me good in the back? Good.
Oh, and by the way, we got the student some help, and we got her transferred away from her processors. So that was my first successful rally.
Okay, and I'm going to have your next question. What's the most pressing issue in the school system?
honestly, I feel, from going to almost every single board meeting for 3 years, I can honestly say that one of the biggest problems is outside entities. People outside Birmingham that don't know about our schools are manipulating and being able to make decisions for our students, for our schools, for our city. I stand against those people, against those business interests, and that's why I get attacked on a fairly regular basis. That's why I'm dangerous, because we've been able to slow down charter schools. We've been able to get the ESL students the help that they need. And all of this by pushing back on the State Department of Education and by pushing back on legislators and business interests. So that, I know that might sound odd, but you know, we can't own our schools until we really own our schools and get those folks out of it.
Okay. And what would you do as a board member to improve the system?
Okay, again, this is gonna sound odd, y'all, but seriously, implement evaluations. Did y'all know that there are no evaluations in Birmingham for any employees? There is a state evaluation system. It's a summative one. That just means it takes just pure data. And they enter the information, but most of the time don't do anything with it. A principal can choose to evaluate their employees. They can choose to do the right thing, but they don't have to because there is no system in place. I go through personnel files on a regular basis. I guarantee you, people are not being are evaluated. Now, I say I want evaluations not because we have terrible people, but because good people can't be recognized for the good that they're doing. And the people that are struggling cannot be identified so we can get them the help they need to become better employees. So quite honestly, until we have strong and capable teachers and principals, all the other things that we talk about really are not going to get fixed.
Okay, and the next question is on charter schools. What are your overall thoughts on charter schools?
Oh, goodness. I do have a website, electerry.com, if you want to know more. Check out Support Our Students on Facebook, because I don't have enough time in 2 minutes. Basically, charter schools are only as good as their legislation. Our legislation was written by people who have done very, very little. Not only have they done little, they refuse to do anything to help high poverty students and students of color. So why do we believe that now all of a sudden they have a conscience and they wrote a charter bill that's going to benefit these children? It's going to benefit their pockets, just like always. So I do not approve of our charter school bill and the charter schools that it will bring to Birmingham. They have targeted Birmingham. They want to change our whole system into a conversion charter school district. That is what is at risk if y'all don't vote smart. Not only for school board, but for city council and mayor too. Because we have a $380 million budget. If they turn our system into 100% conversion, they have control of every penny. And you know it will only take one vote to do that. One vote is all it's going to take. And these private entities are going to get our tax dollars, and they're going to turn our children into dollar signs.
And our last school board question. What would you want the state, the legislature and the State Board of Education to change to help improve Birmingham schools?
I want them to get a soul. I do. I want them to, you know, we talk about choice in schools, right? Parents need choice, parents need choice. But wait a minute, isn't the first choice our legislators in funding our schools? What choice do they make? They choose to not fund them equitably. Now think about that. They choose to do that. They can fix the financial situation in Alabama for our public schools by doing the right thing, by doing the things that other states have done to fund their schools more equitably. And they choose not to. So what I want to do is I want to concentrate on that first choice, because I believe that until you get to a core of an issue, everything else is just window dressing. We can fix small things, but until we fix that core, it's never really going to be fixed. It's going to be Band-Aids. So I push our legislature. I will encourage everybody else to please get on board with me. Let's go down to Montgomery and tell them that it is their job to fund our schools equitably and to lift up our Birmingham students, just like students in other cities that I won't mention. Thank you.
He's on his way. Oh, Brandon's on his way, okay.
Yeah, we'll take a couple of questions from the audience for Terry. Somebody want to raise your hand here?
Hello. Okay, I have no dog in the fight as far as I have no children, except for I do pay taxes that go to the schools, and that's all fine. What do you, as a potential board member, plan to do about our never-ending revolving door of school superintendents?
Very, very good question. And also, real quick, we all have a dog in the fight because you know what? These children graduate and they live in our community. So, anyway, so the superintendent situation here. Remember I talked about those people that dabble in our business? What happens with the superintendents is that these business people manipulate the board, they get the person they want on the board. And then what happens is good citizens and board members who have a soul finally realize these people are here to push an agenda, to push charter schools. And so then we call them out, we cite them for things they've done wrong, and we get rid of them. And then we get an interim who cares about the students. They don't last long, and they go and they pick someone from out of state again. That's the revolving door, and it's because of the business interests trying to get a hold of our schools through these superintendents. So, you guys actually can stop that. But we need everybody to vote right in every district. We need our 5 votes so that we can get consistency, we can get a superintendent who cares and who will stay here.
All right, do we have other questions? Anybody? No?
I have a question.
No? All right.
I don't know why y'all keep hiring these people and then signing the contracts of this large amount of money. They only stay 20 minutes,
Right.
and then they gone, and then y'all still have to pay them that salary. Hiring somebody else, that's a waste. To me, that's a waste of money.
Yes.
So
Well-
I'm trying to, if you know why this done. I keep hearing you saying something about the business interests.
Right.
How would they get any benefit out of the school money,
Okay.
a business interest?
Right. Well, thank you for that. Okay, I do work for the union, so I have a lot of inside information, and I'm up in the schools constantly. So here's one thing, and again, I know lots of information, I could blow your mind all night long, but here's another thing, I'm going to go ahead and say it. The school board knew who was going to be superintendent last fall. The whole thing was a sham. They placed those people around Dr. Herring. They knew it was going to be Dr. Herring. Now, she seems to be a lovely person. I've met with her, and I'm very much looking forward, if y'all elect me, to working beside her, because I believe if she has her 5 supporting votes, she will do right for the children. But the board members, I can't even begin to know why they do what they do. That superintendent search was illegal, and believe me, we're trying to sue them. We are. AFT already did bring one suit against them, because it was wrong what they did and how they brought that superintendent here. Plus, it wasn't fair to her. But the business interests going to put the superintendents here. And again, the superintendents give out contracts and make deals and things like that. They can, they can spend up to $50,000 without any approval from the board. And so we don't know where those contracts are, who they're going to. I mean, that's a lot of money. And so there's a lot of money that gets given to consultants and other things. So public education, you got to remember, It's consistent money, $380 million a year guaranteed as long as our enrollment stays like it is. That's guaranteed money. How many other businesses have a guaranteed client base? So it's very lucrative.
Yeah, it sounds like that whole situation was, well, basically rigged, and she was placed in that office. But I hear you saying that, you know, she sounds like a lovely person and she'll do a good job. I mean, if she's the right person for the job, why wouldn't you support her to do that job effectively?
I will support her now that she's there.
Okay.
But I support.
Well, I mean, you know, push come to shove, okay, she's there.
Right, right.
You know, and I mean, you're not going to change that right now.
Right, no, and like I said, I've been in private meetings with her, and she's a lovely person. We get along fine. And actually, you know, she's supposed to be working on this evaluation system. I'm waiting to make sure her actions match her words.
Sounds like her heart's in the right place to be.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're basically saying that you will stand your ground and hold her accountable to her words, not believe that you will do that. Is that what you're saying, that you, that accountability piece?
Yes. Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I've pushed back against people like Michelle Rhee and, you know, pretty large people in public education reform. So holding the superintendent accountable is not going to be anything out of my wheelhouse. And yes, she does work for the board. And so it is our job to push back and to ask questions and to hold her accountable and not rubber stamp everything. One thing I do like about Birmingham City Schools when I first started coming to board meetings was they actually discuss things. It looks really messy and ugly at times, but at least they're having these discussions in front of the people. Up in Huntsville, they didn't even do that. Everything was done behind closed doors.
I want to welcome Brandon McCrary. So Brandon, we'd already gotten started, so we're gonna.
Forgive my tardiness.
That's okay.
I guess I had to speak into it.
We'll let the moderators give them a couple of questions real quick. Brandon, if you want to introduce yourself and why you're running and what you hope to accomplish if you're elected.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And once again, forgive my tardiness. You know, running late behind with work and just got here late. I'm Brandon McCray, running for the School Board District 2. Now, I've prepared 10 years for this. I've been involved for 10 years on the council level and on the school board level. I'm a product of the Birmingham City School System. My son is a product of the Birmingham City School System. And, you know, just watching him throughout this whole school year, it's a lot of changes need to be made. And this is not all bad with the school board. But I'm telling you here right now, this city is moving forward, and we need a school system that's going to push it even further. It's the economic engine for our city. We have some great students, and they're eager to learn. As a board member, I want to cultivate learning. I want to cultivate teaching. And I want to make sure our students, my son, your children, have a bright future. And I'm ready to work, because I don't do a lot of talking. I work.
Okay, the next question is, what do you feel is the most pressing issue in the school system today?
Consistency. I'm tired of seeing the merry-go-round of superintendents. We need to keep somebody in place that's willing to, you know, put in the work, put in the time, and let's give this superintendent a chance to turn the system around. And as a board member, I want to be a part of making policies that's going to help her do her job, help her educate our children, help her give resources to the principals and teachers. And with that, consistency is my main, that's my plug, consistency. We need it because we haven't had it in so long. Since 1999, we've lost a total of 6,500 students. That's unacceptable. And being a school board member, I want to be a part of keeping families here in Birmingham, sending their children to the Birmingham City School System, and I want to bring families back. Ooh, let me stop before I preach.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next question is, what will you do as a board member to improve the system?
Once again, make sure we're working with our new superintendent and creating policies that's gonna push the school system forward. Making sure we have the right amount of money, allocated, budgeted, to keep the system running. So that's my main goal.
What are your thoughts on charter schools?
The big C word. There's no place for a charter school in the city of Birmingham. And if we do what we're supposed to do with our public school system, we won't even need a charter school. And that's my stance.
Okay, what would you want the state legislature or the state board of education to change to help improve Birmingham schools?
That's a good question because they gave us the charter school system. With me, I'm all about building relationships, and I really want to work with Montgomery to see if they'll actually just stop pulling money from the public school system. Every year, when there's a cut that's needed to be made, they go straight to the education.
That's right.
They need somebody to stand to them and say, no, our kids need this funding. Stop taking it. I mean, I won't be the artist, but that's it. They need to stop taking money from the education fund. So, that's it. Y'all asking y'all a question.
So, is we gonna take a couple of questions from the audience?
I have a question. Do we have a charter school here in Birmingham?
No, ma'am. Two organizations have applied for it, and the school system denied it. So now they're in appeal with the Alabama Education Commission. Charter School Commission.
So it's really up to the school board to start a charter school.
Yeah, well, what it is, Birmingham is an authorizer, so any charter school that wants to apply has to be approved by the school board, and if they deny them, they just appeal it.
Okay.
What about Rollins Dollar?
Well, the school board actually appealed that decision, that overturned it, so that's where they're at now.
They're suing.
Yeah, so.
Yes, what are your plans for the alternative schools?
Oh.
You're talking about the regular school system, but we also had those alternative schools that's
You mean
involved.
like Kennedy and all that?
Yes.
Kennedy, yeah, that's one issue. I dealt with that earlier this year. There was a student that got sent to Kennedy. It was just like all bad. It was like nothing good about Kennedy was in this conversation. We really need to get at Kennedy and address those issues like, what was I told? During the winter, there was no heat.
Wow.
It was eye-opening. So really I'm glad you asked that, addressing the Kennedy school has to be a priority too. Because if you're gonna move students, out of a regular school and send them to Kennedy for whatever reason they were sent, don't just send them to like a school jail.
Exactly.
So, but yes, ma'am, that's a good question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
At the beginning, you said that you were active for 10 years with the council and the school board. Like how?
Currently, I'm an administrative assistant on the city council. I've been doing that since 2009. And there's always been partnerships with the school system because we're always sending money from the council side over to different schools, programs, and then just working with a couple of the school board members. So that's what I mean by that.
All right, thank you very much. We've heard from both our school board candidates, so these are the two people we'll be voting for in August. So you take notes and you stick around and talk to them later if you'd like to. And now we're going to move on to the council. We've got several people running for council. We've got two sets of questions. Ron and I will be alternating asking questions. We have the same general ones that we've asked at all the districts, and then we have several questions that were submitted by residents about specific issues in District 2. So we're going to go down and ask each one a different question and keep moving for this long period of time.
Okay, I'll start with the first question. And again, we thank you guys for participating in the debate today. The first question is, why are you running and what do you hope to accomplish in the council position? And we'll do this. We'll start on this end and work our way towards the end.
Well, first, thank you all for coming. Thank you for holding this. You being here means you actually care about your community. And that's extremely important because you are the ones that council members are advocating for. So thank you for what you're doing, and please keep doing it even after this election because we really need people like you in our community. I wanted to run for Birmingham City Council because I was driving along and I hit a pothole and I was kind of tired of fixing my car every time. But really, I feel like Birmingham is broken, and I really, I feel like the only time things are fixed is when it's election year. The council will come together and they'll fix problems reactively to a solution instead of proactively. I think we should continue to grow Birmingham on the pace that it's going. It's definitely growing rapidly in different areas, that's for sure. But it's kind of doing it in silos. Certain parts of Birmingham are growing where others are left stagnant and blighted. And we need to unite. We need all of Birmingham to grow together. And that's the only way we can be a flourishing city that makes an impact on the world. It's great that we have small parts of Birmingham getting better, but we all need to build Birmingham together.
Could we find out what their names are?
I apologize, I'm sorry. My name is Jordan Thompson. Thank you.
Just thank you. Okay. Let's see, next candidate, you give your name and then tell us what you think the city should do about Banks High School. That's a good idea. Okay, let's have them write down and give their names. So first.
Yeah, my time limit on it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, no, we'll go down the line and have each of them introduce yourselves, name, why you're running, what you hope to accomplish. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. My name is Kimberly Genty. I'm running for Birmingham. I'm running because this is my home. I love District 2. I drive the streets every day and I see every opportunity that we have to be better. And I've worked on the city side. I've worked for District 2 Council office for almost 3 years. And I've been neighborhood president and community president. So I've had the opportunity to sit on both sides of the fence. And the city and the residents were really not that far apart. And so I'm hoping that as counselor, I can bridge that gap. I'm very grateful to all of you people here tonight because it's going to take all of us together to make this happen. So thank you for coming.
All right, good evening. My name is Deanna Reed, and I am running for City Council District 2. And quite often I get asked the question, why did you decide to run? And quite frankly, I was driving through Roebuck, Crestwood Boulevard, and it looked like a ghost town. Even driving through Southeast Lake in some parts, along with Brown Springs, it looks like a war zone. So I decided to do something about it. And ultimately, I know that it's nothing that I can accomplish by myself, but with the support of you all, we can definitely move not only our district forward, but our city forward.
Good evening. I'm Lawrence Conaway, and I'm running for City Council District 2. I'm a native of Birmingham, and I've been here pretty much all of my life, with the exception of about 6 years that I lived up in the North Alabama area. And since I've been in this community, moved back in 1987, I have been involved in doing a lot of voluntary work, working in various places, starting off in places like Jimmy Hill Mission, working in elementary schools, going in, counseling, working in the middle schools and the high schools, going into our prison system, working behind prison bars. And through my volunteerism, I've seen a lot of the problems up close and personal. And I've also seen, it seems like Birmingham is moving backward instead of forward. Or let's say it like this, they're not moving forward as quickly as we possibly could because of the systemic problems that we're facing. And one of those problems that I have seen up close and personal is poverty. And out of poverty, we have a lot of other problems because poverty is a root problem that produces other problems. And we know there's a correlation between crime and poverty. There's a correlation between poor education and poverty. There's a correlation between bad health and poverty. And so we, the city of Birmingham, need to come together. And I say that we are in this together. We're in this boat together, and if we don't rise and do what we need to do to move forward, we will sink together. And I'm running for this particular spot because I believe in my heart that I can make a difference. And that's why I'm running.
Good evening. My name is Tyrone Williams. I'm running for this office because there is a whole lot of positivity in this city that we can make things happen. There are a lot of negatives too, but believe me, we have more positive things than negative. Look at this group here, a very diverse group. If we set our goals, make up our minds, and set those goals and objectives in motion, we can prove anything and do anything. I've served on several boards, committees, and I know I've sat at the table, arm's length, both sides of the argument, the pros and the cons, and we take a vote. After we discuss the goals, the direction we need to go, we vote and move on. We don't beat a dead horse to death. Birmingham has a lot to offer. District 2 is just one district. The entire city of Birmingham, and whether you know it or not, the surrounding cities and counties make up our culture. And we'll have to address that. And I feel as if I'm one of the candidates that can take us there. August the 22nd, consider Tyrone Williams. Thank you.
My name is Hunter Williams, no relation to Tyrone.
Yes, he is.
We're brothers. But in all seriousness, I'm the Crestline Neighborhood Association president. And the reason I decided to run is over the past year as Crestline Neighborhood Association president, I've spoken to a lot of residents all over District 2, and everybody seems to be having the same exact problems that we're having in Crestline, and all over District 2, and really all over the city of Birmingham. The first of which is crime. We have a lack of law enforcement coverage all throughout District 2. The second of which is having the city maintain its green spaces and buildings that it owns, such as Banks High School down the street. And then the third, of course, is, which has been touched on already, which is a pretty big issue for everybody that drove on a Puerto Madrid Boulevard here, is our infrastructure. Our infrastructure is crumbling. We haven't had street resurfacing in 8 years. We chose to get street resurfacing from a bond issuance instead of from our annual budget, which is how Detroit and Orange County have gone into bankruptcy. It's a very poor plan, and I think that we can do better as a city. I think we're at a very exciting place, and I think that this election is very important. And on August 22nd, I would appreciate your vote.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Stephen Murphy, and I'm running for Birmingham City Council District 2. Who remembers when leadership meant something? Who remembers when the leaders were at the forefront of every change that took place? So I'm running because I feel like I love Tyrone. You can't go wrong with Tyrone. So for me, 31 years old, currently serving as the Director of Risk Management and Regulatory Compliance at Hillcrest Behavioral Health Services, which is right up the road from here. At the age of 31, I feel like I have set a precedent for me that I get things done. At everybody at the table, I'm the youngest administrator at the hospital, everybody at the table is about 20 years my senior, but somehow I'm able to get things done. So I think that for me, I feel like I can help lead District 2 to the place that it needs to go. But of course, it's going to take the people because they're our biggest resource. So on August 22nd, actually, you vote Stephen L. Murphy, Birmingham City Council District 2.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am the incumbent. My name is Kimberly Rafferty. My family has lived in this community since 1940, and we have chosen to stay here through the years because we have so much history here, because we love it. I chose to run for office in 2009 because of the lack of responsiveness and transparency in government. So when I came into government, my main focus was to empower citizens. My main focus was to get as much information out there as possible and see exactly what was going on and what could be done. At the same time, understanding what the charge of a counselor was. Counselors, a lot of things have been said up here about things that you want to get done, but if you don't have the cooperation of the administration, a lot of things cannot be done lawfully. Meaning that the council cannot do a lot of, or deal with a lot of the problems you're talking about, but we can advocate. The council has been a difficult challenge because you have 9 people up there and not always 5 agree, which means not much gets done. I have continued in my work in my office for the last 8 years, and I've gone through a number of staff members, every one of them highly qualified, every one of them highly responsive to the challenge before them. And that was to take the complaints of the citizens and try to mediate a resolve with all of the, with the administration. The other thing that I found when we talk about the budget, we have a $428 million budget in the city of Birmingham. 6 seconds. And most of it is swallowed up by City Hall. If I may just close on this point, thank you. My focus for being reelected is to prioritize that budget, to find out where the holes are, and to put that money in where it needs to go. Please vote it on August 22nd. Thank you.
Okay, great. Now we'll start on our general questions, starting with our first candidate here, Mr. Thompson. What do you think the city should do about Banks High School?
That's a great question, and you know it's been about 10 years now, and really Banks has been sitting there. Some people consider it an eyesore. You know, there's been a lot of contractors, and people have estimated that to demolish Banks would cost anywhere from $350,000 to $650,000. People have said, you know, let's renovate it. Honestly, at the beginning, I would have loved to have renovated Banks High School. I would have loved to have provided jobs to people who needed them, to homeless people, to give them certifications so they can have jobs after refurbishing Banks High School. But I think it's gotten to the point where, you know, Birmingham, the government is already in discussion about demolishing Banks High School. Right now, it's just a matter of time when that's going to happen. So we're going to fast forward a little bit. Banks High School is demolished. What are they going to do with the space? Well, it's in a residential area, so getting something commercial in there would be pretty difficult. However, what I think would be a great idea would be to have something similar and comparable to Innovation Depot in downtown Birmingham in the Banks High School location. So to have something like that would be a mixed workplace area, office spaces, vocational program training for students in the area, high school students, older people, older aged people. But utilizing that space where it is and actually getting the community behind it would be what's best for the area. As long as the community is behind the effort, then we can only build on that. So I think having something, again, comparable to Innovation Depot, where you're learning skills, you're learning trades, where entrepreneurs that we have in the city and innovators that we already have in the city have somewhere else to go on this side of town with tech jobs, with young minds and older minds collaborating to do what's best for the city will help keep us on the map and only bring us forward from there. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Ms. JT, I got the next question for you. Okay, what is the most pressing issue in the city today?
Getting back to basics. There's a lot of focus, and rightly so, there's a lot of focus on getting businesses in, and yes, we need jobs, and yes, we need revenue. Every government runs off of sales taxes and revenue and different revenue resources. But the same things that attract businesses into the city of Birmingham are the very same things that the residents ask for on a regular basis. Clean streets, not having a crumbling infrastructure, public safety, waste management as opposed to just garbage pickup. Those are all the things businesses look at when they're coming in. You have to think about it. If a business is bringing their headquarters here, there's certain employees that they're going to want to bring in. Those employees, we would like them to live in the city as opposed to like they do now in every municipality around the city. So if that's good enough for, if that's what businesses want and that's good enough for businesses, we can clean up to woo a business. We need to clean up to maintain our residents. And who else will better sell the city of Birmingham and all of its beauty and all of its promise than the residents? So if we can get down to basics, get ourselves where we want to be, then we invite people in. And it's as simple as not only advocating, but putting the legislation in place to make sure that the city departments have what they need. Advocate for the funds so that they have it when they need it. Work with the mayor's side to have policies that that it can be implemented, whatever laws are given. We have a lot of basic things like weed abatement. I'm working with the Southeastern Roadside Defenders to work on chemical weed abatement. We're working on with the mayor's side on policy, how it's handled, how we can make sure that our residents are safe, but we can still take care and make sure that we're handling the overgrown lots. But on the council side, we're also working with certain councilors to put an ordinance together. So it's just basically getting back to basics.
All right, and for next one, Ms. Reed, who asked the same question. What's the most pressing issue in the city today?
Okay, so it's actually funny that you asked me that question. I read an article on AO.com that ranked Birmingham as the 6th most stressful city in America. And I believe that a huge part of that is because there are so many pressing issues. We talked about poverty, we mentioned crime, but we can't talk about those issues without recognizing what the underlying issue, which is education. And I know that some people would say, don't talk about education, you're running for city council. However, I believe that as a city councilor, there's definitely a working relationship that should be there between that person along with the school board representative. So I would definitely work hard so that we can tackle that issue. We should have resource centers in some of these abandoned buildings. There are tons of ways that we can address it, but it's going to actually begin by us addressing it, by talking about it and bringing in our constituents to see what they feel about it. So I would say one of the most pressing issues would definitely be education, and I believe that we could definitely work to put more funding in our schools so that we can address it properly.
see. Conway, what do you feel is the best way the city can support Ruffner Mountain?
Good question. Ruffner Mountain is one of the hidden secrets of our city, especially here on the east side. And I believe that the city government should allocate more resources for it. That wonderful item that we have in our very own neighborhood. And I would advocate for that at the city level as the representative of District 2 because it's in our district. And therefore, we would like to get more funds allocated so that we can spruce it up, so that we can be inviting, so that we can draw people from other parts of the city as well as outside of the city. And we can actually have something that appeals to the people. So I would advocate for more funding from the city government towards Ruffner Mountain.
All right, Mr. Williams, I'm going to ask you that same question, sir.
Thank you. Ruffner Mountain, a natural resource that we need to be proud of. You have Uptown, Crossplex, Southside, all being well funded. But what do you have for the family to do? Ruffner Mountain is my pet peeve. I am dedicated to bringing exposure to District 2. It is one of the largest natural reserves in this country. I have mentioned this to our Congresswoman, and she understands. It's going to take more than us talking about it. They have a very good, hard-working director, Carly Sanford, doing a remarkable job. If you ever wake up on a Saturday morning, fresh air, go hiking, that's the place to go. And believe me, to get something done on this council is going to take 4 other votes. And you're going to have to learn to get along with one another. That's number one. Regardless of what you see and what you like, you got to have cooperation on this council. That's my pet peeve. Ruffner Mountain.
So I guess the next Mr. Williams, how do you propose to better communicate with the citizens?
I think that communication with our constituents and the citizens of Birmingham as a whole is something that's really essential. You know, everything that the council does in terms of allocating tax dollars, we're allocating all of our tax dollars. So it's everybody's business. So I think we need to do a better job of line iteming the budget. We have, the budget is of course public and put online. However, there's a lot of really nebulous accounts that we don't really know where that money's going to. Like advertising costs for the city council. What is that? Why are we advertising for the city council? A bunch of trips and things like that to national conventions that really, you know, there's not a lot of evidence to show that it's bringing back economic development to Birmingham. So we can better allocate our tax dollars and be more transparent in the process.
I'm sorry, I'm supposed to see you all. Okay. Mr. Murphy. All right, Mr. Murphy, we'll ask you that same question.
So I think when it comes to communicating, I've learned this in my campaign, that you have to put information in front of people. You know, we're in a generation now where social media is really big. So when you think of your traditional ways of communicating, like advertising, newspapers, and things of that nature, people aren't really using those, even when you mail information to to the citizens, they don't really look at it. So I think that we're gonna have to use, well, for me anyway, I would use social media, quarterly town hall meetings. I just think as a leader, it's difficult to represent people that, you're not around, you don't know what they need. So I want to invite opportunities to the citizens to come out and meet me and learn why I voted the way I did, inform them of pressing issues or issues that are before the council, and also attending neighborhood meetings. I think that's a great place to start. One of the things with neighborhood meetings are getting more people involved, but I think that goes back to when people try to make a difference or make a change, and somebody slapping their hand saying this is not the way to do it. So just giving people more opportunities to get involved, to sign up, or easy text and things like that, to get the information to the people.
And Ms. Rafferty, what are your plans for economic development along the Roebuck Parkway, Highway 11, East Lake area, District 2?
And if I may, just apologize to y'all, I'm diabetic and I'm having low blood sugar, so please just be a little patient with me. Stephen here is trying to help me get it back up. The plan for economic development along the Roebuck Parkway, Highway 11, East Lake area, District 2. So what we have done is we have, first of all, the counselors cannot recruit businesses in. We can have conversations with property owners. We can get ideas from the community. We did have an organization that was formed 3.5 years ago, I believe, when Ms. Jemke was working for my office. It didn't quite get off the ground. That was to look at reinvigorating the development on the parkway. When I first came into office, the Mayor's Office of Economic Development, who does control all of those discussions, if we do find someone who's interested in the corridor, we have to hand it off to them. What they did with a convention that we went to in Atlanta, we had a meeting with the developer who bought the Roebuck Plaza area and brought in the gym that came in, the renovation of the new businesses that were located in there. Not exactly happy with the content, but he did reinvigorate that area. So then Hardee's came in, Los Arcos, I believe is the name of the Mexican restaurant, thank you. We got rid of the plasma center, and then the whole debacle with the payday lending came in, and they bought up a lot of spots and opened up along the parkway. We have seen some renovation in the property owners contacting us along with Porto Madrid. The gentleman with Silverliner and B&B Construction that is also, if you notice on Porto Madrid, we've been working with him. He's actually winning an award for his investment in the Brown Springs and the Southeast Lake community. So the economic development plan is actually one thing the city of Birmingham does not have is a chamber of commerce. So there is nobody except for the Mayor's Office of Economic Development that is working on building our shopping corridors in the area. And so that's my target as far as economic development, is getting that chamber back in place.
Can I rebut since my name is mentioned?
We're not doing anything else, we're just answering individual questions.
We can't hear you if you don't put the microphone up in your mouth.
That's right.
What we'll do now is we're going to move on to the next question, and this question is going to be for each candidate. Okay, when we ask the question, listen carefully, because this one question we want each candidate to answer the same question. Okay. This question is, what are your thoughts on the recent city budgets, and what would you want to see changed? How will you use your discretionary funds?
Those are multiple questions, but okay.
2 minutes.
All right, the first question. All right, so the city budget right now, we're about $428 million, okay? We spend 1% of that. We contribute 1% of that to education. That's abysmal. All right, you look at other places like Hoover, they're spending quadruple that on their education. Where does that left us? All right, but we have to be able to reallocate the budget. It's great that we have $428 million, but you can't just throw money at schools and expect them to be better, right?
Right.
So we can, give more teachers a higher salary, pay for basic school supply needs. You're not gonna ask a police officer to buy his own vehicle. Why would you ask a teacher to buy her own school supplies? Okay, same thing with students. That's putting an extra burden on parents if they have to buy basic school supply needs. So we should help them out to build our better communities through our students' education. And it's not just the education. We need, revamping the sidewalk plans, fixing the potholes in the road. The budget is one of the 3 proponents of what a city councilor does. Okay, you legislate, you advocate, and you pass a balanced budget. And although the budget may be balanced, how it's allocated is completely wrong, and it's not helping us whatsoever. Now, your other question, I believe the second part of the question was discretionary funds. Right. Okay. So you only need to spend discretionary funds on things the community actually wants. I would listen to constituents and see what they feel like the money needs to be spent on most. I'm not going to travel. I'm not going to spend up to $30,000 a year on travel, which I say benefits the city, even though it might not. Okay. Discretionary funds. The things that I've talked to in the community, when I talk to people in the community, they say that the money needs to go to fixing potholes, to safety, beautification, and education. Those seems to be the main things that people in the community care about. So let's use those discretionary funds on planning programs, on mentorship opportunities, on after-school